gave me this idea where everyone just unmuted and got like a candle. You can use just a lighter or whatever you have, or we can just share what went well in 2025 so we can celebrate with each other. But what I did to get started was I kind of talked myself through the energy. I've done vision boards so many times before. I don't know what happened in 2025. Actually, I do know what happened, but I could not find my vision board anywhere for 2025. But I don't want this to just be another year of manifestation only, writing down our big goals. I want this to be vision plus execution. So if you're not ready for that, get ready. We're gonna dream big, get honest with ourselves, build systems, and then commit to Q1 goals or the 12-week year, which I'll kind of walk you guys through. That's the book that I started reading, and I bullied my husband into reading it with me so we can kind of work on crushing our goals together, separately and together. Ditching the limiting beliefs and doubt. And remember, you're not here to shame yourself. We're going to accept what is and move forward with intentional action. Always a lot of love, but I also am a tough love kind of person. That's how I talk myself through lots of goals and getting my butt in gear. So, starting with what went well in 2025, when you're sitting down thinking about everything you want to accomplish in 2026, it's important to honor the progress that we've made. So, what I did is I opened my phone and I went through, I think you can pinch it out. I did the pinch out to zoom on my photos on my iPhone, or I'm sure Samsung has it as well. I just went through my camera roll or wherever you document your journey, your life the most. It could be Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and start in January. And that kind of helped me jog my memory of everything that happened in 2025, even though it was a year ago, less than a year ago. There are so many things that I absolutely forgot already. So if you can write down 5 things that went well off the top of your head or going through your camera roll if you need to, goals that you accomplished and progress that you made, that's where I always start and where I like to start when I'm planning for the next year, the next 12 weeks, the next quarter, or even the next month. I've done a lot of more monthly planning this year than 12-week planning, and it was kind of chaotic, but always celebrate what went well. And I'll also post the slides later so you guys can screenshot this. And I made little task icons because that's your homework at the bottom. But what went well in 2025, if you have your vision board or you had it on your phone or saved in an album on Pinterest, you can look back at that and think about what went really well, what didn't go well, what do you want to continue building on, and what can you change and improve? Because there are things that went well, I promise. Even though sometimes it doesn't feel like it, there are things that went well, and we deserve to celebrate ourselves for that. And honesty without shame is the foundation of real change. What didn't go well? What did you write on your vision board or on your goals list and never looked at it at again? What did you write on your November goals that you have and you never looked at it again? And once we're done with our 2026 vision and our goals and our 12-week year goals as well, we are committing right now to putting them somewhere that you can see them every day. Earlier this year, maybe about 4 or 5 months ago, I realized that I had my vision board behind me and I sit facing this way. So I moved everything to behind my computer where I can look up and see it every day. And I also have my habit tracker on my wall in my bedroom and sticky notes all over my bathroom. So I remember what I'm working towards and what I'm working on. And I also write down my top 3 goals every single day in my journal as well. And when we're thinking about 2026, the big question I like to ask myself, because it's so easy to write down everything that we want. We want a new house, new car, new purse, new clothes, but think about how do you want to feel on January 31st, 2026? And some ideas for you is your energy, your physical health, your confidence, how you talk to yourself in the mirror, how you think about yourself, how you celebrate yourself, your peace. And for me, my peace also has to deal with the next couple of things: my financial health and my financial knowledge, which is something that I'm working on, my mental health, and my home environment. I realize that I feel more anxious, more out of line. I feel like nothing's going on when my home and my house is an absolute mess, not just a life mess, because we live in it. Our homes are going to be messy, but also just there's no organization. There's so many not homes for everything, just piles of things piled up everywhere. Your relationships, your friendships, your business relationships, your marriage, your career, or your business growth. And these are kind of just things that I work through. And it did take me a little bit of time. So we'll run through this workshop really quick, but I'll make sure everyone has the slides and the recording so you can go through and jot down a couple of things about how you want to feel in these areas. And then now our visualization. If everything went your way in 2026, you got everything you wanted, what does a normal day look like for you? How do you move through your life? And what feels easy now that used to feel really, really hard? I remember when before we moved into this house, I was really into vision. This was 2019, 2020. And I wrote down on, oh my gosh, I'm the emotional best friend. I wrote down in my vision that I wanted to live in a neighborhood where I could walk in the morning. There was water somewhere around, there were trees, the neighbors were really nice, and I felt safe walking through my neighborhood. And then once we moved in, we have three lakes in our neighborhood. There's like a cute little walking trail, and everyone is so nice. But that is what I wanted to feel how I moved through my life. And it wasn't long ago where I'm an ER nurse. I would wake up with anxiety. I would drive to work with anxiety. I would cry on the way to work, at work, on the way home. And that's not how I wanted to just move and feel through my life. So I wanted a way to build a routine where it didn't feel hard to get out of bed anymore. I didn't feel this sense of overwhelming anxiety as soon as my feet hit the floor, and building myself up to move through my life much easier meant adding in a morning routine, doing something for myself. It wasn't just the job. Yes, the job is stressful. Everyone's job and responsibilities are extremely stressful, but it was because I wasn't pouring into myself. I wasn't doing anything for myself before I plugged into 12 and a half hours of serving other people with rare lunch breaks. That was a part of the anxiety, and I didn't want to move through my life that way anymore. And a couple things that feel easier now. I am not a morning person at heart, but that is the time that I carve out for myself to take care of me, to do something for me. So I show up better in every other aspect of my life. So that used to feel really, really hard. And now it feels a little bit easier. I started working out on my days off only in the morning when I would usually wake up for work. And now I'm able to wake up and work out most days. So if everything went your way in 2026, what does your normal day look like? How do you move through your life? And what feels easy now that used to feel really hard? And then I did a master goals list. I brain dumped everything, every goal I wanted to hit in 2026, everything I wanted to have. And I have like front and back pages of everything that I could think of. So give yourself a 10-minute timer after this and just write down everything. If you're on live and you can think of some things, you can drop your goals in the chat and we can all dream together and feed off of each other. But some category and ideas that I have for you guys are health and fitness. That is a big part of my life. Finance, career and business, your home environment, relationships and friendships, personal development, self-care, and spiritual growth. So if there are anything that just runs off the top of your head that you want on your 2026 goals list, this is our time to dream big, give yourself the space to write down absolutely everything you want without any limits. And then just have a big master goals list for 2026. And you'll also have your everything that went well for 2025. And after you make your master goals list, I went through and I picked my areas of focus. So we don't have to fix our life all at once, contrary to popular belief and what I try to do every single month. You can pick 3 to 4 categories that you want to focus on for Q1 or your 12-week year. Think about how focusing on these areas will trickle down into other areas of your life and prioritize what's going to move the needle the most. So for me, that was health and fitness, moving my body, finding a routine that worked for me, and that trickled down into the discipline and respect that I had for myself when it comes to finances, when it comes to my career and business, and also when it comes to my personal growth, waking up, having the discipline, never, not often motivation, but to move my body and do the hardest thing first, which is movement for me. That's the hardest thing. That trickles down into being able to do the hardest thing in other areas of my life, having hard conversations with myself and with other people and with my husband. It just kind of trickled down into every other aspect of my life too. So start thinking about 3 to 4 categories that you want to focus on for Q1. And then we're going to talk about the 12-week year. So I'm really excited. I read this book a couple of years ago. So there's a book and there's a field guide. What we are doing is going through the book and then going through the field guide after as kind of like a refresher, or you can work through it at the same time. The field guide kind of has a lot, it's a summary. So if you don't have a whole bunch of time to read or you just want to do the field guide, you can too. But it has like a summary and just different journaling topics and ideas and outlines. But the concept of the 12-week year, and I don't want to, I'm still doing my big overarching 2026 vision. But the concept of the 12-week year is to start executing your goals in 12 weeks. So now a day is a week is a month, and a month is like a quarter. So you have fewer goals, which gives you sharper focus, faster feedback and momentum. And instead of, I'll work on it sometime this year, I'll hit this goal by the end of the year. Mine was always, I'm going to lose 10 pounds in 2020, whatever it was. You shift from sometime this year to this is what I'm executing now. These are the habits and the tactics that I need to put into place in order to make this happen in 12 weeks, which is my new year outline. So how it helped me skyrocket any area of my life is defining a 12-week year outcome. So I have some examples in the slides too, but instead of, let's say, 5 pounds in 12 weeks, you can have weekly actions that move the needle, tracking your progress weekly, not emotionally. Just get you a habit tracker. Did I do this? Yes or no? You don't have to hurt your own feelings. It is just bringing you back to center ground. And then your weekly execution builds that self-trust and your momentum compounds faster than your motivation because what we do weekly matters than what we plan to do every single year. And then again, shorter timelines gives you less procrastination. So going from our big goals to our quarterly vision or 12-week planning, you can keep your annual vision and goals at the forefront. Like I said, put it somewhere that you will see it every single day. And then you'll also have your 12-week year goals with your daily and weekly actions to get you closer to that 12-week year goal. So here are some examples that I have, and you can screenshot some of these as I run through them. But this is my fitness focus example: run a half marathon and beat my PR of 2 hours and 16 minutes, and then beat our PR women's doubles by 5 minutes. So that's my big annual goal. And we've got two scheduled High Roxes in 2026 and 2 half marathons. So my quarterly focus, I'm going to break that down, is going to be improving my running stamina, being able to run at a 7.5 mph on the tread for 5 minutes. And I just got that from what I can do right now. And that kind of just bumps it up a notch. That is my focus for 12 weeks to improve my speed and how long I can hold that speed, to decrease my average mile time for 5+ miles from my average of 9:42 to 9:30 consistently. So it's not just a one-hit wonder. What training do I need to add in order to hold that 9:30 pace for 5 or more miles? And then my High Rocks nemesis is the wall balls. So my quarterly focus, 12 weeks, is going to be 50 unbroken wall balls. So my weekly actions or my daily actions would look like running 3 times a week. And I have my run training app, strength training twice weekly, and then planning my workouts every Sunday with adding in an active recovery and mobility day. That is something that I'm really, really bad at. And when it comes to wall balls, it is my range of motion and my hips and my ankles. That's really, really killing me. And then adding on like 20 wall balls at the end of every workout, because your wall balls are last and it's absolutely glorious. And then how I'm planning to measure that, you can count the number of runs per week, track your weekly mileage or the time spent working out, and increase how much weight I can lift. So I track the weight that I lift in the app that I use for my strength training, and then it'll give me little notifications on new PRs and things like that. So finance focus. So big annual vision, pay off $10,000 in debt. We've got nursing school, student loans that are still very active and present in my life. So instead of saying, okay, by the end of 2026, I'm going to pay off $10,000 in debt, I'm going to narrow that down into my quarterly focus and focus on increasing my income, tracking, and being more responsible with my spending. If you know me, you know I have no budget. I don't know what a budget is, it doesn't exist. If I want it, I will buy it. So consistently tracking expenses to know exactly where my money is going. I think I was having a conversation with Charity and my friend Bailey. I was like, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. It just auto drafts. Everything just auto drafts. So consistently tracking my expenses to know exactly where my money is going because I'm an adult now. It's kind of embarrassing. Reduce unnecessary spending and building a system for extra payments, working on the highest interest first, and always finding new ways to generate more income. And those weekly actions look like my weekly money check-in, and this is something I'll be doing with my husband, so that will keep me honest. Tracking my spending honestly, making one extra debt payment weekly or bi-weekly, and pausing impulse purchases. So if I want something, I can write it down, I can put it on a sticky note somewhere and make a plan to make that purchase. My health and wellness supplements and my gym equipment, that is considered a necessity for me. So we'll find other areas to cut down. But using a planner or your habit tracker to track your weekly debt balance check, extra payments made, total extra added to your debt payoff every single month. And something I'm getting better at is tracking all of my sources of income, where my money is coming from, because I've got this thing in my mind where if I'm making more, if I'm working more hours at the hospital, that means I can spend more. And I don't really have a grasp on what is actually going on. So, honest and vulnerable hour right here. Or another one is a clean, organized, functional home. I want to live in a calm, clean, functional home that supports my energy, focus, and routines. And my initial impulse is always to start purging everything, pull everything down, throw everything away, and then I'm just sitting in the middle of the floor with a pile of stuff around me and no plan. So my quarterly focus is to simplify, reset, and build systems that keep the home manageable and reduce the clutter that creates all the mental noise in my brain. Also creating simple daily and weekly home routines and making my space work for my real life. So I'll focus on one area to declutter per week, having 10 to 15-minute daily resets, either before I go to work or after I get home, before I go to bed, and doing a big home weekly reset that won't seem as daunting, scheduled on the same day. So sometimes I work weekends. So sometimes my big home reset will be on a Wednesday or on a Sunday or on a Tuesday. And then creating a space for frequently used items and frequently searched for items. And they'll just track during the week daily resets, the fewer piles of doom areas like the chair that holds all of my clothes and blankets, and then checking in with myself to see, does my home feel easier to maintain this week? Yes or no? And then I've got some of my business girlies on here. This is kind of what I'm doing for my content creation, building my business, and my big annual vision is building a profitable, sustainable, content-based business that will help me get closer to matching my nursing income because that is something that I want to do terribly bad. My quarterly focus is learning how to show up consistently without burnout. So I go through spurts of I'm going to post, I'm saying yes to all of these collaborations, and then I get so behind on everything that I've said yes to. And then I'll spend a day doing all the things and scheduling all the things and just get absolutely overwhelmed to the point where I don't want to do anything the next day. So also creating content with intention instead of chaos and building systems that support my growth and monetization. So I got a new planner and I also have a new content planner so I can keep track of all of my links, all of my codes, everything that we are working on as a team, everything that we're working on, just me and my friend Stephanie on the outside and all the things in between. So my weekly actions are posting 3 to 5 pieces of content. If you're just starting, you can narrow that down. If you've got a groove on, just go ahead and run with that. And creating your content once per week. So if you didn't know, you can schedule your post on Instagram. So I feel like it looks like I'm on social media all of the time, but most of the time I'm at work. and then doing a weekly CEO check-in and planning for the week ahead. And I also recruited the help of my husband to help me keep up with the brands and collabs and the people that I've reached out to, the people that I've pitched to, and also tracking. Did I stick to the plan? Did I post what I was supposed to post for the week? And so on and so forth. But those are just a couple of examples. And then let me see if I can check the chat without, I don't know if I can look at the chat without closing my screen, but everyone can unmute if you have questions or anything. Building systems. So systems remove decision fatigue. I have for years wrote down, this is my task, this is the task, this is the task. And instead of having a to-do long checklist, building a system that makes everything flow that much easier. So you're getting done what you need to get done without just a never-ending to-do list. So my daily execution system is I wake up in the morning. If I am off work, I'll time block for my focus work for my business, for different things that we're doing behind the scenes, home planning, home cleaning, whatever that is. And I'll write down my daily top three priorities instead of 15 things that I want to do for the day and focus on getting those three things done and habit stacking everything. Whatever you can pair together, pair it together. I started doing my morning skincare while on the vibration plate, my evening skincare while on the vibration plate. And then that kind of helps me remove the friction before it shows up and setting up myself for success the night before. So I have all of my supplements on the counter, even though my husband hates anything on the countertops. Have all my supplements on the counter. My tripod lives in the kitchen. That is where I do a lot of my work and recording and things like that. But also setting up a system where now in the mornings on shift days, I'll come up to the office and do work there, do my morning journaling and planning here, instead of having things all over the place in the kitchen. So my morning system, having the same wake up window on shift days and non-shift days. So my mornings look a little bit different when I'm working a 12-hour shift. I leave the house at 6 a.m. to be there on time. So my alarm goes off at 3:55 in the morning. Doing that every day is not realistic. I don't know how I'll get enough sleep, but on non-shift days, I do want to have that morning productivity, that morning peace and quiet to myself before the rest of the house wakes up, which is just my husband, but it's real noisy. So on non-shift days, I'm focusing on still kind of getting up at the 6 or 7 a.m. before he wakes up or after he's already gone to work. And then having my non-negotiable movement or recovery day. I will work out, I would say five, sometimes six times a week, but having my recovery day, that's still counting as moving my body, priming my body for the day, and then hydration and protein focus first. I'm not someone who can eat before they work out, but I will have my protein right after. But I do start my mornings with hydration and then having my 5 minute of intentional journaling or planning check in. And then every single week, setting your weekly priorities before the week starts, scheduling your workouts, work blocks, whenever you're going to reset, and then review your last week honestly. So those are kind of systems that I like. And then I also have my wind down routine because if you're working on building a morning routine, you also have to have a pretty solid nighttime routine. So doing a nightly reset, laying out my clothes for shift or workout in the morning or both, prepping for the next day, my meals that I'm going to take to work, and then having my screen down at a set time is something that I'm still working on. And then doing other sleep supporting habits. We've got blackout curtains, even though now it's dark all the time, I feel like. I listen to the white noise. I'll have my air machine running, but just kind of setting myself up for restful sleep for the amount of hours that I do get to sleep. Um, so at the end of every single week, I would start picking a day to reflect. And mine is kind of going to alter a little bit depending on if I work on a Sunday or if I'm off on a Sunday. But kind of the reflection and the idea, especially behind the 12-week year, is what worked well this week, what didn't work well this week, and what needs adjusting. And then I'll do like a weekly accountability meeting. I'll probably do it in my like Facebook community page and hopefully people will jump on instead of me just like reaming myself to shreds every week. But now let's celebrate. I'm gonna stop sharing. So if you guys feel comfortable sharing something that went well this year in 2025, I would absolutely love that. Or you can drop it in the chat. Oh, the Hatch sound machine. I want one so bad.
I never had even heard of it. So when I was opening it, I was like, what is it? And so I had to go to TikTok and look it up. And I'm like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
like amazing. Like I can't wait to use it once I figure it out.
Yeah. Okay. Katie, if you have a declutter schedule, I'm sure we would all love to see it.
Well, I'll go first. It's not business related, but I have been with my husband for 20 plus years, and this was the best year of our marriage, like ever.
Aw.
Like it was so good that it makes me
I'm gonna
emotional.
cry.
I know. It was just like everything that I've been praying for and waiting for is finally happening. So, and I'm sure I believe that it's because I decided at the end of last year to just like let go of the things I couldn't control and just like give it to God, pray about it, like let him make the decisions in my business, stop trying to control everything. And I swear when I did that, like everything shifted in my life, in my business, and in my marriage.
Okay, stop. I'm a crying friend. Oh, that makes me so happy. Okay, we'll see. I'm gonna read some of them in here. Bailey kept a kid alive and got back into leaning into her own faith. How do I open this bigger? Sorry, I can't scroll my mouse anymore. Oh yes, Bree finished nursing school and she's a single mom. Shout out to you. I'm so proud of you. Okay. Okay, Bailey made $98,000 this year with affiliates, Shackley, and social media. Oh my gosh. Shackley with 70,000 of that. She's pumped. Her goal is $150,000 this year. See, that makes me cry too. Oh my gosh. Okay. That is amazing. I hit my half marathon PR of 2 hours and 16 minutes, which is huge for me. There was a time after, I guess I really started my weight loss journey after we got married so it was the beginning of 2024. And I'm 70 pounds down from when we got married, and I did my first high rocks. So those are two things that I thought my body was never going to be able to physically do.